Alright guys, welcome to World of Wrestling. At this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button after you get a chance to watch the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And also leave a comment down below after you get a chance to hear some of my commentary about AEW Dynamite for September 30th, 2020. This show wasn't exactly what you call a great show. It wasn't terrible. But it was kind of boring, kind of laid back kind of episode. Wasn't one of their biggest or best episodes I've ever seen from AEW Dynamite. A world title match took place with Jon Moxley defending it against the Butcher. I didn't particularly think that this match was necessary, especially just because of the fact that they had a brawl between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley last week over the championship after the match was over. So I didn't particularly like that idea. I didn't like the idea that Kingston was able to pick the opponent of Jon Moxley for his world championship. And out of all the people they chose was the Butcher. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, Butcher gave Jon Moxley a good match, but Butcher is not anywhere near the of a singles competitor. He's a tag team specialist. I don't understand why he would be getting a world championship match, but it is what it is. He had Darby Allin, which kickstarted the show against Ricky Starks. Very good matchup. Darby Allin actually wins this matchup by the coffin drop and gets the 1-2-3. Very good match. Right after that, we had Cody heading out to the ring to talk with Dasha, and she asks about his injury and how he's feeling. Cody says his trainer, Al Snow, says you always wrestle hurt, but you never wrestle injured. Cody brings up about how before the pandemic, wrestlers always shook hands because it was a sign of respect, especially to those on the marquee. Cody then brings up how he was on the marquee but then lost in 3 minutes. Shortly after, he gets a call from Hollywood and sits next to some big names on a new show. Cody wonders, who am I? I'm just a guy who lost in 3 minutes. Cody says while he's been gone, he's listened to what's been going on. From there, he says, the only people who could call themselves the ace of the company, likely referring to Kenny Omega, is either Hikaru Shida, Jon Moxley, or Brody Lee. Dasha then asks if Cody accepts Lee's challenge for the dog collar match, and he comes out initially saying that he would not do the match, thinking that he's saying no to the idea. Before he says no, he says, Cody says a match as brutal as that, as one of the EVPs of the company, his answer is no. Cody heads to the stage, stops, then comes back. Cody says no as in no regrets. Next week, I accept. Brody heads out to the ring and then start brawling, which brings out a ton of people to separate the two guys. Brandy Rhodes comes out to the ring and hits a big senton on a bunch of Dark Order members. Anna Jay comes out and they fight for a minute. And the women are separated though by other women. Nyla Rose jumps the barricade and beats up King. Lee heads to the back for a moment, but runs back out and more fighting happens. And that's basically it. So a big brawl between Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes. The dog collar match is on next week for the TNT Championship. I don't agree with the idea of putting this match on a Dynamite episode unless it was on the October 14th event. I think this is a terrible idea. But then again, there's also the celebration of Chris Jericho being in the wrestling business for 30 years. So that might be the reason for that, and that would be our main event. Not that that would be a bad idea. But, again, like I said, I believe this match was more of a pay-per-view type quality match they could use, but instead they're using this as a ratings grab. Maybe they extend this further, maybe not, I'm not sure. All that matters is when the match ends and where they go from there. So that's pretty much the deal with that. So, let's think about this, folks. We also, talking about championships, the world title. I've been wondering what the hell they're going to do about the world championship going into Full Gear. Well, they have decided to do an 8-man tournament for the next couple of weeks leading up to Full Gear. 3 of the people were already mentioned: Jungle Boy, Ray Phoenix, and Kenny Omega. Hangman Page was also at ringside when they made this announcement. This was after the match, after the match of FTR versus SCU's matchup. He actually mentions this. That made Hangman Page's eyes kind of like, what? So, hearing Kenny Omega being a participant of this tournament kind of raised an eyebrow, I guess you could say, for Hangman Page. Folks, I'm going to tell you this. This match is going to lead to them facing each other in the finals to decide who gets the shot for the World Heavyweight title, and Kenny Omega is going to walk out on top and face Jon Moxley at Full Gear to win the World Heavyweight Championship. That is what needs to happen. I've been saying it from the beginning of the year. Kenny Omega loses the tag team titles with Hangman Page. That eventually leads to a match between those two to determine a number 1 contender, which this tournament would be perfect for that. And then you have Kenny Omega win the World Heavyweight Championship. That is what I would do. Now, granted, who would be beneficial to take the title off of Kenny Omega later on down the road? I don't think it needs to be another guy that has made it in professional wrestling. I think the guy that needs to beat Kenny Omega needs to be an up-and-comer new face that has never been a world champion before. The 2 guys that come to mind is MJF and Orange Cassidy. Those are the 2 guys I would give the opportunity of becoming World Heavyweight Champion. So, only time will tell on where they go with this, who becomes the next World Champion off of Jon Moxley, and where they go from there after they take the title off of Moxley and find a new person to carry the World Heavyweight Champion after the person that beats Jon Moxley, I honestly think Kenny Omega is going to be that person, and then we're going to see Kenny Omega lose the title to a new face that has never gotten a shot at being world champion. We also had backstage Tony talking with FTR and Tully Blanchard. Tony brings up how the champs were supposed to wrestle best friends, but that didn't work. Wheeler says best friends are participation trophy guys. What the fuck? Whatever. And just don't deserve a match with them. SCU, on the other hand, is worthy of a match. Dax Hardwood is asked about the Young Bucks and a match with them. Hardwood brings up how Matt and Nick have had their shots, but they have continuously blown their opportunities. Tony goes to ask about their Full Gear opponents, and Tony gets super kicked to the ground, and they head off without even acknowledging FTR's even there. Matt Jackson's standing there going, "Oh, was there an interview? What? I didn't even know that we interrupted something." That kind of shit. So they're acting really like inconsiderate pricks to the point of DX type style. They just don't give a fuck about anything. The next thing you'll know is you'll start noticing them start spray painting graffiti everywhere on some shit. I don't know. But they're definitely doing heel-like things. They're acting like assholes. They're acting very frustrated. They're acting also like degenerates. In a way, they are acting like degenerates. They're acting like DX in a way. They're assaulting people backstage for no good reason. They're acting very funny and making humor out of it at the same time. And that's what DX used to do. So, I mean, they're not totally copying DX, but they're doing in some cases like humor along with heel-like tactics that only a heel would do. So that's pretty much that. So you get my point. FTR defeated Scorpio Sky and Kazarian, a very good matchup. This match was highly entertaining, a lot of fun to watch, and I don't think that this match was bad at all. Very much worthy to be on a pay-per-view, to be honest with you. This match was not terrible. The ending, though, it had shenanigans at the end. Tully Blanchard grabbed Scorpio Sky's leg, and Scorpio Sky could not kick out because of Tully Blanchard holding on to his leg. The referee did not see it, and he could not kick out because of Tully Blanchard holding the leg consistently throughout the entire count, giving FTR the match and the win to retain their tag team titles. And that's pretty much that situation. So commentary, as I already mentioned, announced a 8-man tournament singles competition elimination matchup for Full Gear winner. With the finals at Full Gear, winner gets a shot at the AEW World Championship. 3 names are announced: Jungle Boy, Rey Fénix, and Kenny Omega. Like I already mentioned, Chris Jericho versus Isaiah Cassidy. Very good matchup. Chris Jericho wins with the Judas Effect, a spinning back elbow to Isaiah Cassidy while he was doing a leapfrog off the top rope into the elbow and being knocked out completely for the 1-2-3. Very good matchup. Jericho took most of the pounding in this match. I think it was a great job at Jericho. Again, like I mentioned last week, Jericho is in a point in his career right now. He is putting people over, but also still being able to stay relevant at the same time. That is a very, very unique thing that you really don't see anymore. John Cena was unable to do that. He always was ending up near the end of his career, losing to everybody. Never really able to put anyone over unless they defeated him. In Jericho's case, at this point in time in his career, he is doing that. He's able to win matches, but at the same time still be relevant on the show. And he's making his opponents look very good. These young, talented people that are like in their early 20s to mid-20s, and he's making them look good and sometimes even losing to some of them so that they can get over on him. That is a beautiful way of doing things. That is the proper way of getting your roster leveled, to taking them to the next level is what I'm trying to say. And that is the most important thing that any veteran can do for a roster. But at the same time, if you still want them to be part of the in-ring competition, the televised shows, they have to be able to stay relevant or they're useless at the end of the day. They just end up losing, and installing them in these matches will make the matches very predictable. So they have to be able to win here and there to, be a believable character that is still at the top of his game. And that's what they've done with Jericho. So that's the most important thing that they have done with Jericho. And Jericho, I don't know about creative-wise, but if he's been involved in creative, he has been doing a great job putting some of these guys over that he's been involved with. So I think that's fantastic. And then we had Kip Sabian and Miro trying to come up with an idea for a bachelor's party. And Miro comes up with this random dude in some fucking game room, some arcade place, called, his name is Billy Pac-Man. I don't know who fucking Billy Pac-Man is, so please don't shoot me down for it, but I just don't know who the fuck that is. Whatever. So, backstage, Dasha talks with best friends and Orange Cassidy about where they're at mentally with how things went last week. FTR steps in. They say they saved best friends from having a match. Some teams up are way up high on the card, like the champs, and there's nothing wrong with comedic mid-carders. They go walk away, and this fucking writer sucks. Okay, they walk away, and best friends act like they are going to fight. FTR cowers for a moment, and Cassie takes the mic and calls them wieners, or weenies, or whatever. Orange Cassidy has a match with number 10 from the Dark Order. He manages to win this match very quickly. So another victory under his belt. MJF. He has a segment here as well. He discusses and also brings some presents for some of the guys in not FTR, in the Inner Circle. But the thing is, he had a gift missing, which was Wardlow's fault. MJF is pretty much frustrated with Wardlow. And this, pretty much in my mindset, looks like something you could be setting up a breakup between Wardlow and MJF at some point, at any time. More than likely, it's going to happen. And MJF was asked by Jericho, do you want to join the Inner Circle? And then MJF retorts back to him and says, do you want me in the Inner Circle? So they're back and forth saying the same fucking thing over and over again, asking the same reverse question to the other. And they pretty much hinted in this segment that MJF may likely be joining the Inner Circle. I think that was the right move to go a while back when Jericho was given the assist by MJF to retain the title over Cody. And I think at this point it would be a good idea to do that. This could also make MJF turn face, possibly, like a dickhead face, where people will still like him, but he's also like an anti-hero type of gimmick. And like join the Inner Circle and pretty much disband them later on, like The Rock did with the Nation of Domination type of thing. That could be a possibility. Or he could become the new leader of the Inner Circle and dethrone Chris Jericho out of the group altogether. That could be another idea they could go with. Or they just don't have MJF join at all. That's another possibility. Like I said, only time will tell. We have to see how these storylines unfold. Me personally, I've been right so far about the World Championship storyline and where it's going and how it's going to end up. It's more than likely going to end up at Full Gear. Kenny Omega is going to be facing Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. So, there's a good possibility that MJF may be joining Inner Circle and Wardlow may be taking a hike at some point. Because him and Wardlow have been going back and forth for like months now. Even before you started really noticing anything, MJF has been talking shitty to Wardlow for a long while. So I can imagine Wardlow may become a face and go out on his own and do his own thing. So that might happen based on the way this is going. Alright. So Brett Baker had a match with Red Velvet. This was, I mean, it wasn't a bad match by Brett Baker. Probably better than the fucking match that she had. Actually, anything was better than what Brett Baker did at that fucking All Out pay-per-view with Big Swole. Holy shit. But yeah, this match wasn't too bad. I think probably the best match I've seen Brett Baker in a long while, because she's had nothing but shitty fucking matches. Here, she didn't do too bad. She wasn't terrible. So the last thing, like I mentioned, was Jon Moxley facing the Butcher. Before that, Eddie Kingston was talking to the referee that did the match last week with him and Jon Moxley. He asked him, hey, look, we've known each other for a very long time, and for 17 years to be exact, and you went about calling that match off without me even tapping out. Now, why is that? I didn't do anything. I didn't tap out. I didn't quit. So why did you do what you did? He said, real simple. We may be best friends outside of the ring. We may know each other's families. But when we're in this ring, this is business. This is a job. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to look out for the competitors' best interests, their health, their well-being. You weren't responding to anything. Your hand wasn't moving. You weren't trying to escape. Your eyes were closed. You were out. I had to call the match. I had no choice. So there you go. Very logical response. I mean, you couldn't possibly just go ahead and let the man just sit there and not be able to do anything. It wasn't like it was a terrible call or a botch. It was real simple. You weren't responding. You weren't doing a fucking thing. So the match is called off. You lost. Simple as that. You were in checkmate. That's really all it was. He was about to have Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. with him to destroy the referee, but Jon Moxley shows up, and then he introduces him to his opponent, which was the Butcher for the AEW World Championship. The match wasn't terrible, but it wasn't something that was needed. This was not a match that needed to happen. I didn't feel that this was necessary. It really wasn't it really kind of made the main event feel very boring. Not that I'm saying that Butcher was bad in the match. Again, like I said, it wasn't bad, but a world championship match after you already had one last week, and then you're going to have one on October 14th, which is 2 weeks away from today. I think that's a little stupid and redundant. I don't think you need Jon Moxley defending the title 3 out of 4 weeks. Holy shit, man. This guy is going on overdrive. I mean, this is fucking crazy what they're doing with him. He's defending the title more times than you can shake a stick with. God. I'll tell you one thing. I have to admit, this has been Jon Moxley's best world championship reign in his entire career. Not that he's had a lot of title reigns, but out of every championship from mid-card to main event, this is his best run ever. I have to admit that. So, but that's pretty much that, guys. There's really nothing else more to discuss here. I mean, it had some good storyline progression. It felt more like AEW was having a night off. They felt more like they were having a laid-back kind of night, which, I mean, is fine. Not every episode is going to be mind-blowing. it's going to be like almost pay-per-view-esque type of feel. But as long as you got some kind of storyline development, there's some progression going into the pay-per-view, which they did tonight. There looks like there's some moving parts happening with MJF, with the Inner Circle, which I find interesting. I wonder where they're going to go with this. Maybe this is going to lead to Jericho versus MJF. That might even happen. You never know. That's a possibility. I mean, they're not exactly talking very highly about each other going into this until this little backstage situation. Sammy Guevara, I mean, even shot out that he's a loser, and then Jericho stopped and said, "Hey, don't say that about him." He kind of stood up for him. I like that. It could lead to maybe a change in the storyline progression here. The way things are looking may still lead to Jericho versus MJF, or it may lead to them being a team with the Inner Circle. Now, granted, the Inner Circle has got Jack Swagger, or Jack Hager, not Jack Swagger, Jake Hager and Jericho as a team, which, by the way, they didn't really continue with that. But not to mention Jericho had a one-on-one match with a tag team specialist, so there you go. So I guess he's still staying in the realm of tag team wrestling still after 2 weeks of announcing that he and Jake Hager are going to be tag team partners, trying to challenge an opportunity for the World Tag Team titles at some point down the line. So you never know. This may lead to MJF being part of the Inner Circle. It all depends on where they go with it. So that's the beauty about this company. They leave you guessing. They leave you guessing, and each week they come up with a new answer and a new foot forward towards the direction that they're going for that storyline. I absolutely love it. It's a shame that we can't get that from WWE. If we were getting that from WWE and AEW, wrestling would be extremely entertaining to watch. But I digress, because this isn't about WWE, this is about AEW. But yes, I do wish WWE would get better, but I know for a fact they won't, because they're not looking to get better, and they never will. That's why AEW is the top brand, top promotion on this channel. That is why I review this shit. No, they're not the greatest superstars in the world. No, they're not the biggest names in the world of professional wrestling. And no, they won't be able to perform in front of 80,000 people, even if the pandemic didn't exist at this point in time, for an audience to enjoy at one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year, like WrestleMania does. That ain't the point. The point is what they do creatively. What they do creatively is they keep you watching. They keep you seeing where a storyline goes, just like a TV show does. Lately, I've been watching King of Queens, that 70s show. A lot of older comedy shows. They always had a storyline, something gripping you into watching, keeping you laugh. But they always continued with the history within those storylines to keep you going. All the episodes are connected. And that is what these shows are about. Having connection to the next episode and continuing that on to the next one. There's none of that in WWE, and that is the problem. If they're not going to book a show with storyline, book it like fucking UFC. Have 1 week episodes of fights and just do it that way. I've even said this. If WWE is bankrupt with the ideas that they need to provide week-to-week storyline telling, then give us fucking matches. I mean, you guys got so many fucking talented wrestlers on your show. Ricochet being one of them. Fucking put him in a match on Monday Night Raw and have him shine and win some matches week after week. I don't get it. But that's the reason why I don't review WWE on this show unless it's fucking pay-per-view, because I can deal with a lousy 3, maybe 4 hours of pay-per-view once a month than watching 5 hours of fucking WWE main roster television. And even NXT at this point is lumped into that same situation. So, that's pretty much that, guys. Anyway, I'm not going to continue on talking about this shit. Leave your comments down below if you got anything you'd like to say about the show, my opinions on the entire episode of Dynamite. Hit the like button if you liked the video. And of course, as always, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.